Good morning, everyone. This is Caitlin Halley with NYSADA, welcoming you back for this week's Wednesday webinar, an important discussion about the changing landscape of content and marketing. Digital natives like Gen Z and Millennials are entering the prospect pool and expect video-forward content from brands online. Conventional video mediums like TV aren't going to cut it anymore. They don't consume content like other generations. They research online to connect with brands with sight, sound, and motion. Video drives discovery and awareness to your products and vehicles in a way that impacts them most. Little to no reading and exciting visuals that convert. Here to discuss ways you can better connect with the new generation of car buyers are Toldright representatives, Mr. Max Heineman, CEO, and Mr. Jason Bernstein, Senior Vice President of Content and Operations. Max has over 20 years' experience helping major brands leverage media platforms to better connect with their consumers. Prior to co-founding Toldright, he led strategic partnerships, multimedia strategy, and partner activation as a media executive at NBC Sports and the Golf Channel. As a 20-year media veteran, Jason is an industry leader who inspires innovative and meaningful new ways to share content. At ESPN, he was responsible for more than $3 billion in media right agreements and has led multi-platform acquisitions and content strategy and acquisition for ESPN's digital platform, Watch ESPN, ESPN2. Before we get started, I want to remind our listeners that you may submit questions throughout today's presentation using the question tab on your navigation panel. We'll answer all questions at the end. A recording of today's presentation will be posted on nysada.com later this afternoon, should you need to review this information at a later date. And with that, I will turn things over to you, Max, to get us started. Thank you both for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caitlin. I appreciate the opportunity. I know Jason and I both do. If you'd like to have me drive the presentation, I can do that if you turn over it to me.
Yep, you have control. You should be able to click through using the bottom of your screen, left side.
Okay. Oh, there I see it. Well, thank you, everybody, for your time. Again, Max Heineman, CEO and co-founder of Toldright. I think this is a very important topic. I would like to say that traditionally with these presentations, I'm not in the habit of reading across the slides. I think these slides will be shared with you afterwards and can be a valuable resource. Just a quick thank you to some of our friends at YouTube who provided a decent amount of, I think, salient research here to help you navigate the challenges of an ever-changing video landscape. But video is, of course, as Caitlin said in her intro, the new norm, and all consumers, whether they be digital natives, meaning they grew up with a cell phone in their pocket or a video-enabled device throughout their life, or adopters like myself and Jason, are engaging with video at an extraordinary rate. Higher engagement from videos has never been as higher than before, and we think that video will not only change the way you as dealers connect with your consumers, but also how you may interact with current employees or attract and retain new employees, or as well train those that may need consistent updates to training. Some stats here. Video content is the primary method of communication in 2002 and beyond. 84% more attention paid to YouTube ads than linear TV ads. We're seeing this across the landscape. Even brands like NBC, who many of you may buy at the local level, are now using different methodologies for measurement beyond just Nielsen, which is the traditional TV rating, and partnering with companies like iSpot TV to measure their audiences across both linear, online, and over-the-top communications like Peacock. The one interesting stat here that I'll pull out is that 50% of America's workforce is currently a digital native, meaning, as I said before in the previous slide, they grew up with a cell phone or a video-enabled device in their life as they became older. This number, according to Citrix, will go up to 75% by 2025. So in a matter of 2 years, it will be almost 2 to 2.5 years, almost 80% of America's workforce will be a digital native. That will greatly impact companies, dealerships, OEMs' ability to onboard, attract, retain, train, make compliant any of their employees' communication, because it will all have to be video based. And then as you look at the consumer, that is already happening. Over 1 billion hours of online video watched per day on YouTube. So clearly, these folks are there. They're in these ecosystems. And if your company or your local brand or regional dealership network is not in that ecosystem, riding along with that buyer, then you're not building a relationship with them and you're not building trust. And that goes for also communicating with prospective employees as well. Jason, anything about this slide that you'd like to also comment on?
Only that video consumption is real, right? And the reality of video consuming on the entertainment side translates in the advertising world, given that the expectation is there and the need is there to be more entertained, however you're consuming video.
Thank you. Great point. Pretty interesting that video has changed the way people shop, with 70% of millennials watching YouTube videos to learn and explore about products. So if you're not leveraging video, you're not talking to the customer that's coming up in the world and is maybe coming onto your lot for the first time, and then becomes an engaged and long-term customer as they buy their first, second, third vehicle from your dealership. That first time you interact with them will in some way need to be video based to attract them to your location and to therefore to start an engaging relationship with your brand. 10 times shop with me videos are 10 times more impactful, 12 times more impactful doesn't work, and then 2 times with everything you need to know about videos. These folks are using YouTube and other video platforms to learn about products, become experts ahead of time, and they will be ready with more questions and more salient conversational topics when they show up to test drive than any other consumer base has been before. YouTube, along with other platforms, is clearly driving discovery and awareness. I think this was a wonderful piece of information that we were able to get from our partners at YouTube, that video allows shoppers to easily compare and contrast their options, and that 60% of auto shoppers who used video during the research process reported visiting a dealership after video consumption. Again, you need to be in these ecosystems in a very high profile, high-end way, because this is where the shoppers are. 95% of auto shoppers are saying that online video triggered them to take action. That is, I think, point number 1 about attracting and retaining a customer base that is a digital native. Jason, I don't know, this one, I really liked this slide. I think this is a good one to have for you dealers to have in your marketing portfolio to understand the landscape. But Jason, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add about this.
Yeah, and the other critical piece is that not only are they using video regularly to inform decision and buying decisions, but the video needs to be generally updated. In your world, you know better than anybody that it can't just be, all right, let's do it in January and then we'll see you in next January. There needs to be some frequency, and creating video with a strategy to have parts of it be updated efficiently is part of the planning process that we do, candidly, and is something that is germane to the process of video creation. If we know where it's going to get used multiple times, and we know that it can get updated easily, if there's a component that we can pull out and update, that kind of thing is part of the video planning process. So it isn't just a one-time thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. And routinely updating being aware of all the platforms. I know that we're heavily using YouTube research because it's extensive, and they were very kind to provide some of this as a resource to you folks. But whether it's Instagram, Reels, TikTok, all of these video-enabled platforms have different organic context and different ways that you interact. And one of the things that we've found, not only internally at Toldright, but across our customer base, has been this idea of reverse mentoring. You folks may find that you have younger employees in your dealership group that may be serving an administrative role,
for information regarding ordering transfer, press 1. For information on enrollment and degree verification, press 2.
I have a little bit of background noise happening.
I'm sorry about that. That's not me. I apologize to the folks in the audience. But what I was saying was that we have embraced this concept, and so have many of our clients, of reverse mentoring. A lot of your younger employees who are native to these platforms may very well be a great resource even today after this call for you to tap into, or in the coming weeks to just do a focus group or just ask them what trends they're seeing, because they're living in these ecosystems all the time. And it may be a valuable resource that you have on property that you're not necessarily tapping into as much as you should. So I'd encourage that as just a shared learning from our end, to go talk to your younger employees starting tomorrow and ask them what they see, what they think is cool. You may see things that start and spark a conversation about how to leverage some of these platforms to better educate the consumer base locally, or to bring those digital native customers to your dealership, hopefully en masse. This is kind of what I was just saying before, that video behind search and your corporate partner OEM websites is the top digital source for new vehicle purchases. So if you're not creating video for these platforms, then you're not in front of your customer the way you need to be. It's about awareness, consideration, and purchase, and all parts of that funnel are being interacted with video. Jason, anything here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, just that it isn't an either or binary thing of, oh, video means no on-site. One leads to the other, and that goes back to that planning point and learning more about the car, the partnership, the opportunity brings them to your world more so than is that sort of, oh, it's online only and not on site. They work together.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll go back to one of the points you made before about this, to continually attract people to the funnel and be in that consideration set and be in that purchase intent mode. The videos need to be constantly refreshed, right? You can't just expect that one video project is going to be ample enough for a seasonal offering or some kind of rebate or awareness play. You've got to constantly be communicating with your customers through video that is refreshed, that is organic to the platform, and that is constantly changing the messaging, whether it be about a new vehicle launch, a new seasonal campaign, anything like that. You need to constantly be aware of it. And I'll go back to the employee part of it, because one of our partners that I've had a lot of conversations with about this is Verizon. And it's very interesting that Verizon is actually tapping into employees who have their own social media presence at the retail level to actually, in some ways, embrace them as local celebrities on TikTok or Instagram. They're actually creating an opportunity for their employees to become the people that people want to show up to the dealership to meet, just because many of these folks that you'll be talking to in these environments, their celebrities aren't movie star celebrities. Their celebrities are the folks that are in these arenas online. And in some cases, they really respect people that have a decent following on Instagram or on TikTok, and maybe some of these are your employees and you don't even know it. And so I think as part of this process, some discovery on your part as a dealer of not only reverse mentoring, but who maybe, who has in our dealership a good Instagram following? Are our sales folks using these channels to create conversations and to create engagement with our employees, with our customers? You may find that you have more going already vis-a-vis the networks of these digitally native employees than you actually knew. So do some of that discovery and build some of that awareness of what's going on, because it may be a useful resource to you as it was to Verizon at the retail level. And then, maximizing you, and again, I'm using YouTube because they were kind enough to share a lot of this info, but this I think goes across all the platforms, whether it's your sales people, your just general dealership information, availability of test drives, or you staging test drives for customers, or tapping into video that may be available from your OEM partners for test drives. Service reception, obviously servicing and aftermarket is an enormous part of your business. And so talking about the experience, showing people the products in the aftermarket, a lot of these things can be done very well in short form video, and they don't need to look highly stylized, and they don't need to look like a Hollywood action set. They can be, as long as they're done correctly and framed correctly, maybe 3D animation or some graphics are added that earmarks them as your video and your dealership with some purchase intent drivers. But for the most part, a lot of this video can be created by you or your digitally native employees, and in some cases can be incredibly effective. Jason, I don't know if you want to add anything here, please.
Yeah, just the kind of evolution of servicing, right? If many dealers in particular in their service centers have moved to a text alert system, right? For here's your update on your experience, and here's where your car is in the pipeline for today's repair. Imagine a link in the text brings you back to your site that has a photo or a video or something more engaging about your automobile. That is the kind of thing we're talking about. Again, a sort of ecosystem of bringing things together, from the experience of repair to back to your site, back to maybe perhaps more purchase, that kind of thing. Video is the part that just gets the engagement higher.
Right. Thank you. In addition to the video, and you of course have so many different channels where your customers are, as I mentioned before, Instagram Reels, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook. All of these platforms have different frame sizes. They all have different timing, and everything needs to be organic to that platform. I would encourage you to understand all the platforms. If you find after talking to your marketing teams or your OEM partners that some platforms are better than others for driving foot traffic or driving engagement, that's great that you can tap into that data, but you clearly need to be there because you need to be competitive with these these digital first buying opportunities such as Carvana and Vroom. Obviously, we've seen very mixed reviews about these companies online, and I think the dealer who has both a physical presence and a robust digital video presence can really provide an experience well beyond what these digital only platforms can provide, because people still like to, even though they may do their research about the car on video and the vehicle, they still want to touch it and sit in it and feel it and learn about it with an expert who's probably one of your salespeople. Not everything can be accomplished online. Jason, I see you shaking your head, Jason. Anything there?
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's got to be the right balance. And then this is the last slide in our presentation, but I think it's an important one about not only the consumer side of it, but the employee side of it. I've read a few articles leading up into this presentation about dealers looking for new employees, whether they be for the service center or for the sales side of the business, or the marketing side of the business, and having to attract, train, retain, if there are compliances that need to happen at the servicing side or additional training, a lot of that can and should be done through video, because these younger employees want Netflix at work. That's what they're expecting. And you as an employer, really, if you want to get the best of breed talent in your market, you're going to need to use and leverage video for a lot of these purposes. It is something that Toldright does a lot of. Just because my background is NBC and NBC Sports, and Jason's ESPN, we are actually spending the majority of our time with customers, helping them reimagine their FAQ library, their training libraries, their sales enablement capabilities, and turning all of that into video. It's actually less of the marketing and branding video that people are asking for our help with. There's a much bigger need on the HR and compliance side than on the side of the marketing part. Jason, anything you want to add there, because you're on the front lines with our customers?
Just that, not to get too in the weeds on our solution, but of value to you, especially as there are people and dealers all over the state and all over the country. We have resources in every market so that we don't have to travel people. So if you have people who want to speak about the daily conversation about the trends in the marketplace in April that's different from March, we can quickly activate and capture and get that real-time conversation going without sending anyone on a plane or a long, expensive trip.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, I thank you, Jason. It's a great point. If anyone wants to learn more about Toldright, please do go to toldright.com, or Caitlin, feel free to share my contact info with everyone that joined this presentation today. I'm happy to, in addition to any questions we might have here, I'm happy to answer any questions that you can think of, or provide just some consultation. As a former New York transplant whose dad grew up in Albany, where the association is, I'm happy to help anybody that was on this webinar today. More than happy.
Thanks, Max. That was a very thorough presentation, and we appreciate your time today. It doesn't look like we have any questions, but if anyone is seriously typing, we can wait a second here. But that being said, if you do have a question that you'd like to ask offline, you can email webinar@nysata.com, and we'll be sure to get you an answer and or connect you with the Toldright representatives immediately. Yeah. And I guess before we go, I want to thank Toldright and Mr. Max Heineman and Mr. Jason Bernstein and our partners at DealerShop for bringing Toldright to present to our membership today. This was a very informative presentation, and we really do appreciate your time. I also want to let everyone know that up next week on our Wednesday webinar series, Cox Automotive will be speaking to members about taking the guesswork out of your digital strategy. You can register for this July 20th webinar now at nysata.com. And as mentioned, a recording of this webinar will be up along with the slides later this afternoon on our member portal on our website. Thank you all for being here this morning, and I think we can wrap this up at this time.
Yeah, Caitlin, feel free. It's just max@toldright.com if you want to include that in when you post it onto the webinar platform or onto your platform. Go ahead and feel free, anyone who joined today, to send me an email. Happy to chat.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We will do.
Yep. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.